to Student Motivation. I'm Melody Waylert with Go Teach 11 from Education Service Center Region 11. Let's begin by affirming your vision of a student who is indeed engaged in learning. You were recently asked to tell exactly what that looks like. Did you say they were looking at you? They had good eye contact? Did you say they were giving you positive feedback, that their body language showed them leaning in and seemingly interested in your message? Did you consider whether they were contributing or off task? I do know many teachers are competing with cell phones and earbuds for attention, but that's a topic for another day. Certainly we don't want this. This video will provide some stimulating information that you as a teacher can use to build a lively, engaging classroom. Perhaps these students look more engaged. They were given the chance to talk with peers and share ideas, and that's a good start. But if you described an engaged learner as one who asks questions, you have zeroed in on a key point. Here's a typical elementary classroom. Notice today, though, there's no technology being used, yet the students appear to be quite intrigued and engaged with the teacher. Most elementary teachers have mastered the use of visual aids, from anchor charts, flashcards, and games, to manipulatives and many graphic organizers. In fact, pre-readers can interpret meaning from images. So this is the definition of visual literacy. As you know, on this screen there are no words. These are just common symbols or icons, and yet a 4-year-old could understand them. Let's try an adult example. In a few short seconds, what do you know about this photo? I usually get answers like, "It's fall," or "Those are probably college students." How do you know this? Well, you've probably seen it before, and you're making an inference based on similar memories. So by contrast, when you read text, you must do so sequentially, in a linear fashion. You can't glance at a newspaper and retain the information all at once. But the way your brain processes images is more like a camera, and how it captures a large amount of information in just one quick snapshot. Let's try another experiment. I'd like you to close your eyes and imagine what the sunny morning of September 11th, 2001 was like in New York City. Some of you younger folks just play along. Open your eyes and relive that day in the memory of the Twin Towers being attacked. What you saw on the news was gut-wrenching. It was heartbreaking. Emotions were high, and those images are indelibly etched in your long-term memory. Because the images were also including video and audio, they are recorded forever in your mind. Another key point is that images that have emotion, especially laughter or when combined with music, really can help students remember information. Do I have proof, you ask? Let's just say you're able to replay your own key life moments, like when you first saw your newborn, or when you saw your spouse at your wedding. Here's even more proof. Brain researchers on learning say humans are able to process images 60,000 times faster than text. Teachers who intentionally use visuals see 42% better retention and recall, and 89% better transfer of knowledge. I'm not advocating for pictures over reading, but teachers need to recognize the value of enhancing learning in many ways, using images to reinforce vocabulary and difficult concepts. The goal for teachers is to have students think deeply. Here's a method to get at deeper thinking as you show a photo to begin class. I call them image starters, but they can be inserted anytime. First, ask the question, what do you see? Only accept factual statements. Next, what could you infer? You may have to define that term, as it certainly is a star academic term that's worthy of practicing. Lastly, ask, what questions do you have? And this is where students' opinions are validated and there is an element of choice and challenge. They are motivated to continue learning, especially when they share with friends and find out if their ideas are true. Here's an example of how it works. Ask, what do you see or know for a fact? Students will probably say, it's a black and white photo. Then ask, what could you infer? She's poor and worried. Finally ask, what questions do you have? And they may say, when was it taken and why? It's important to allow students to freely express their opinions, as they may actually need to be trained to offer those opinions rather than become teacher pleasers and only offer what they think is the right answer. Robert Marzano says to get to profound learning or higher level learning, compare and contrast is essential. So if we compare a modern day homeless photo, students probably have seen it around town or something similar. You can ask the same questions, but in the light of comparison. By the end of the discussion, they're asking questions about human services, and the history lesson takes on a bit of relevance. So here's the bottom line, and it comes as no surprise. Concepts that are taught in tandem with images are remembered at a deeper level. So what are the implications for teachers? This Oreo cookie has, of course, 3 parts. Let's say the bottom part represents the state standards and all the required curriculum, the texts included. The top cookie represents the state assessments, which is the testing related to the standards. What does the creamy, delicious white center represent? That's your own instruction, full of ways to engage students. I'm going to end with an example of one of Go Teach 11's interns in a second grade class on Writer's Workshop. You'll notice behind her she has a giant graphic organizer shaped like a birthday cake. But watch her reference to the photo of a birthday party.
How was you from the outside? Are you inside this picture in real life?
No.
No, you're on the outside of this picture. So I want you to think about it. You had a lot of details that you supplied just based on looking at that picture. What if you were inside the picture?
Then that would be awesome.
Do you think you would have even more details to share?
Yeah.
Do you think you would know what it smells like? Ooh, this cake smells really good.
Yeah.
Would you know? Would you know what it sounds like?
Yeah. No.
You wouldn't? If you were inside here, this is happening?
If you were deaf, yes.
Yes.
So I hope you agree it's true that you get to embrace the welcome challenge of designing lessons that engage learners. To do that, you must think outside the box and go well beyond any teacher's manual to truly connect with students. So what does visual literacy look like in a high school chemistry class? Here's another Go Teach 11 intern who thinks outside the box, literally. His students covered cereal boxes for the periodic table. And here he is wearing a Frankenstein-inspired lab coat with his lesson on the whiteboard in a graphic format. Students did not sleep in his class. No one touched their cell phones as they related Kool-Aid to molarity as if it were a simple concept. Word walls in high school? Yes, with of course, images for added understanding. I'm going to leave you with the charge to give all students plenty of exposure to visuals to aid in their long-term memory, to provide motivation and curiosity and challenge. In our next video, we'll dig into even more ways to engage learners.